So Friday, 6:45, I wake up, I needed extra sleep. So what I was trialing was I was going to have more calories earlier in the day when I had gym later on. But I was like, nope, I'd rather the sleep. I'll just have less calories. And arm day doesn't require as many calories anyway. Like, as you'll see, there's no real major compound movements. So it's very easy to sort of just push through an arm session. Like, it takes a lot of effort to get hyped for like deadlifts and benching and stuff. But when you're doing like dumbbell shoulder presses and barbell curls as your first movements, you can almost do that like half asleep. Like, it doesn't require that much effort. Obviously, don't try and do it half asleep because you will get injured if you're using just really shit form, especially on the shoulder presses. If you're, hang on, I'll get to that when I get to that. Basically, I do dumbbell shoulder presses a certain way that completely stops the possibility of my arms falling back when I'm doing shoulder presses, like hyperextending a joint. But you'll see that, when we get to it. So at 7:13, I just had a sneaky flex in the shower. That's just my work sort of uniform. We just wear like just the company, I guess, uniform in a polo top variant. Pretty comfy. And then just wear jeans and whatever footwear you want to wear. I just wear boots. It's just very nice. Don't know why the temperature, but it is what it is. But just a sneaky little bicep flex, just because, you know what I mean? Now, at 7:17, I was just checking my YouTube channel again before work. Any comments I haven't replied to? How are the views? How are the subs? Obviously, this isn't really going to move much if you haven't uploaded in a while, like I have. Oops. But, it's just nice to check. So 8:30, arrived to work. News in economy, finance, info required for my big six. So what that means is there was quite a large, not breakthrough, but quite an important bit of information on this day in particular. So inflation was at 7.5%, the highest it's been in like 40 years. Bit concerning. But yeah, this info is important for my big six, which is elaborated in my little optimizing the male advantage video. Like, I'll link it if I've got enough videos left to link. I think you can only link like 6 videos per YouTube video. And I don't know how many I've possibly linked so far, but I'll link it if I actually have room for it. But, my big six, it's like my career and working and like my full-time job, my part-time job, my professional development study, my gym, my side hustle, and my investment stuff. So my big six, one of them is investment stuff. So that's what that is. And use an NBA hobby/recreation. So I do follow the NBA, and sometimes I watch it, but not really. Like, the most I'll see is like I follow House of Highlights on my personal Instagram page, and that'll just show any like, highlight dunks or any buzzer beaters or anything, or like who won. And then I also follow Basketball Forever on Facebook too. So that's basically what I'll follow. I don't really watch games. I used to, but as you can imagine, I don't really have time for that anymore. But yeah, at the time, James Harden got traded to the Sixers, along with a few other players. And then the main one was basically like a James Harden for Ben Simmons swap. So that was pretty big news. So yeah, normally doing work, you get the point now. 12:13, lunchtime, standard meals. I have hot food outside, cold food indoors. So cold food is my kiwi and my dark chocolate. My hot food is my red meat and sweet potatoes. I have barbecue sauce so that the meat isn't super bland. No, the barbecue sauce isn't terrible for you. There's a little bit of calories, but as long as you're not bloody soaking the meat in it, you'll be fine. Because I hadn't actually taken a picture of my actual food yet, so that's why I figured I'd take this. And then, yeah, bottle of water, no soft drinks or any of that shit here, just healthy stuffs. So 12:30 to 4:30, I was doing bank reconciliations, just journals, just general other accounting stuff. I can't exactly remember what I did on this day, especially now because that was like a month ago. But yeah, sus the sneaky milk in the first pic. So on the right-hand side of that first image, you can see my little milk. So the color's a bit weird because that's like a bit of Nesquik, which is some like flavored powder you put in milk here in Australia. I don't know if they have that anywhere else. I know Milo is a thing mainly in Australia, I think, but I don't know if that's the same with Nesquik. But either way, it just makes the milk taste like a chocolate milkshake. So yeah, I was just having some of that. This image is just an article in my emails that I found during the afternoon when I was just sort of taking a quick break from work just to check my personal emails, you know, just for a couple of minutes, not going to hurt anyone. Yeah, something to do with someone talking about accountants can expect a modest pay raise in the coming, because yeah, the Great Resignation has also impacted the world of accountants too, so they're a little bit hard to find, or at least they were harder to find. They're harder to find now than they were in years past. So basic demand and supply, if demand goes up and supply stays the same, then price will go up. So if the demand for accountants goes up but the supply of accountants stays the same, we can ask for higher wages. So potential good news for my salary in the coming years. So 4:30 to 5:30 drive to gym, so pretty quiet traffic. For some reason it's quieter on a Friday. I guess maybe people don't go straight home and they go straight to a pub or something instead of being congested in the main city's traffic. I don't know. 5:30 to 7:15 I had the gym. It was a bit over an hour and 40 minutes, and 7:30 I got home, quick walk. So we'll go through that gym workout now. So at the start of every upper and arm session, I'll do this little warm up that you're seeing now. So it's basically like Lucky Cats but with the cable, because there's more like resistance throughout the whole movement. If you do these with a dumbbell, there's not a lot of resistance at the top of the movement, and I believe it can actually put a little bit more strain on your joints than what you'd prefer if you use it with a dumbbell. It's got something to do with the fact that if you use a dumbbell, you're fighting against gravity, whereas if you use a cable, you've just got constant tension through the cable. Again, like I mentioned before, how I used to be a PT, I used to know all this stuff in depth. I've done this for years now, and I haven't forgotten why I do it. I just forgot the intricate details of why I do it, but it's something like that. So if you're gonna do this as a warm-up, just use cables as opposed to dumbbells. So this warm-up you're seeing, it also warms up muscles in your rotator cuff. I believe the ones that this one targets is your supraspinatus from memory. There's like 4 muscles in your rotator cuff. Yeah, so actually I believe this movement actually targets at least 3 of the rotator cuff muscles. So the 4 rotator cuff muscles are your supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and your subscapularis. Now, out of these, your subscapularis is the strongest of the lot, so it doesn't really get injured too much, but the other 3 are ones you need to be wary of. So that's why I do these warm-ups that you're seeing, because they target these muscles specifically. Now, it's important with that cable abduction that you just saw, where it's important to keep your elbow to the side. When you do these, don't let it flare out, otherwise it just turns into a lateral raise. Again, eventually I'll probably do a video delving really in depth with my workout routine, but obviously the main objective of this video is just to give you an outline of the 7-day grind. You know, I didn't delve into every little intricate detail of my accounting job, because if I did that, and I did the same with my meals, and I did the same with my investment study, and I did the same with my CPA study, and I did the same with gym, this video would be 5 hours plus, no doubt. So yeah, these are just some warm-ups that I do before every upper body session. So I do that Lucky Cat with a cable, I do that cable abduction thingo, whatever you want to call it, and then I do this thing, I call it a liberty raise. Now, I learnt this from Sebastian Oreb, aka Australian strength coach, and he learnt this off Andrew Locke. So the reason you do this movement is because at this particular angle, your optimally targeting your serratus muscle. Now, your serratus plays a role in stabilizing your scapula because it is connected to your scapula, and stabilizing your scapula helps keep your rotator cuff muscles strengthened. So it's a little sort of connect the dots type thing. Strengthen your serratus, keeps your scapula more strengthened, if that's a word, which keeps your rotator cuff muscles more healthy. So that's just a really brief outline of my warm-up. I'll always do these 3 movements. I may do more, but usually I find that this is more than sufficient to keep my shoulders healthy. Now, another good one you can do is you can actually do light lat pull downs before you do benching, because you obviously need to brace your lats. Well, you don't brace your lats, but you utilize your lats when you're benching because it's like your stable base of support or something like that, right? But I don't do this because that would just take up more time, and as you can imagine, I'm quite busy. Like, I'm already spending almost 2 hours in the gym each session. Like, I'd cut it down if I could, but in terms of my current fitness goals and strength goals and just how practical it is for me to hit volume and hit the reps I'm meant to hit on my compound movements, like, my workouts have to be this long. So it is what it is, but yeah, you can also do lat pull downs before you're benching. It can help you bench a little bit, but yeah, I don't do this personally. Wait, what am I even talking about? This is an arm session. I'm not actually benching at all. So I start off with seated dumbbell shoulder press. Now, I just, like, this arm workout's just a really light one. Like, there's no compound movements or anything like that. Like, I don't even use a proper barbell to do my barbell bicep curls. I use like an easy curl bar. Now, I don't know if you've curled with an actual, like, the normal standard 20 kilo barbell before, but it's actually surprisingly fatiguing for an isolation movement. So yeah, I don't really do any compound movements. I used to do like close grip incline bench press for your triceps, because I've seen that this targets it pretty well, but for me, it just doesn't really work that well. I've found that I actually grow more just doing more volume with the isolation movements. So I've done an arm workout like this for the past few months, and I've already noticed a difference in my arm mass. So in my old pics, my arms, yeah, they were all right, but they were kind of lagging behind like my chest and my lats. So this is just what I've found works for me. You know, do your own research, trial and error in your own workouts. But this is just what I'm doing at this point in time. So I do, well, you've seen the little snippet of the workout already, but I do 2 sets of seated dumbbell press. I do like a reverse pyramid. So I'll do like a top set of, I don't know, 8 or 10 or 12 with a weight, and then I'll drop it down and do a set with lighter dumbbells for like anywhere between 12 to 20 reps. Just kind of depends on how I'm feeling, really. It's sort of like a DUP, but because I only do an arm day once a week, then it's not a proper DUP workout, but you know, I alternate the rep ranges most workouts. But the general trend is I'm slowly getting stronger. So like, I'm recording this segment of the video on the 18th of March. I think the last set of audio recordings I got done was on the 14th. So I've actually had an arm day since then. And obviously the time that this actual, like this whole 7-day grind thing was filmed was more than a month ago, but I've already hit like new PBs with my seated dumbbell shoulder press. So, you know, it's working. So this movement is the easy curl barbell curl. So I do anywhere between 15 and 20 reps with these on the higher end. If I go too low, you can really start to put some pressure on your joints. So don't go too low in reps when you're doing your isolation movements, but I think most of us know that already. You know, nobody's doing a 3RM on a bicep curl. That's just silly. So I'll do 2 sets of these as well. I only filmed 1 set because nobody really gives a shit about isolation movements. Like, nobody's wants to watch someone just do a whole workout of isolations. Like, we want to see the big lifts, you know what I mean? So the next exercise I'll do is a rope upright row. So this is fantastic for your medial delts. Now, some people think that to build broad shoulders, you get strong at like an overhead press. Well, not really. So in an overhead press, the primary muscle is, well, like your anterior deltoid. The function of your medial delt, which is the side delt, is to abduct your arm, so bring it out to the side. You're not doing this movement when you're overhead pressing. You're doing this movement when you do like lateral raises, but the problem is lateral raises are isolation movements. So, you're not really going to get to a point where you're dumbbell lateral raising 50 kilos, or at least you won't get there anytime soon. So one alternative is to do upright rows. Now, if you do them with a bar, that's just a recipe for shoulder impingement, so don't do that. Some people do it with dumbbells too, but it's a little bit more safe than using a barbell, but I find that you still get impingement. There's an anatomical explanation for it, but I can't think of it at the top of my head. But all you need to know is upright rows with a dumbbell or barbell are pretty bad for your shoulder health in the long run. So what do you do instead? You use a rope, because you're still performing the function of abducting your arm to the side, but you're also getting the benefit of being able to progressively overload it more. Like, jumping from 12.5 kilo dumbbells to 15 kilo dumbbells takes a lot more effort than adding a couple of kilos on a weight stack. So, little life hack, do upright rows with, well, a rope on the machine if you want to build them medial delts. Now, another part that plays into it is having a wide back, which you guys obviously saw in one of my other gym clips. So most of my broad shoulders are attributed to pull-up strength slash wide lats, can't speak today, and then literally just spamming rope upright rows. So I'll do these twice a week on my arm day, and I'll do them on my upper slash arms day, which is a workout that, oh, actually, you won't actually see that workout for this week in particular. I'll explain when I get to it, but normally I'll do arms on a Thursday, and then I'll do an upper and an arm workout on a Saturday. I believe you'll actually see what that workout's supposed to look like, but for this week in particular, I didn't do that, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So yeah, if you want big, juicy, broad shoulders, get better at pull-ups and spam these rope upright rows. So for the sake of time, I superset rope upright rows with tricep pushdowns. Yeah, I mean, not really a lot to say here. It's tricep pushdowns with a bar. So I push the bar with an overhand grip where my hands are like pronated, which means your like knuckles are facing the sky or the ceiling. Now, some people like to do it with a supinated grip. So a supinated grip, I think I mentioned it earlier. I can't remember because my last recording session was like 4 days ago, but it's where your palms are facing the sky or the ceiling. Now, some people do it this way. You lift less weight this way, and they've actually done EMG, electromagnetic studies, on this, and they've sort of checked your tricep activation. So some people figure that this grip targets your triceps more, and they found that it actually doesn't. And you can lift more weight with your grip pronated. So I just do it pronated. Now the caveat to that study is I think they only did one. So it's not there's sample size n equals 1. Any of you scientists know that that's not really super reliable to draw conclusions upon, definitive conclusions on. But like perhaps maybe the participants they were trialing this study on didn't really know how to activate their triceps in general. So who knows, maybe having a supinated grip is better for your tricep activation in this movement. Maybe there's a new study I'm not aware of. Like, I doubt it. I'm pretty sure I would have stumbled across it by now, but look, it doesn't really matter. It's not like you're going to grow huge triceps from doing it one way or the other, and then the other way isn't going to grow your triceps at all. Like, you're still, you know, extending your arm, which is the function of your triceps. So just as long as you're doing a movement that extends your arm, like this one, your triceps will grow. So the next couple of exercises, I also superset these. I'll do a rope upright row, supersetted with rope hammer curls. So rope upright rows specifically target the long head of your tricep, like that's like its main purpose. And the reason it targets your long head is because your arms are, well, over the top of your head. Now, there's, again, some anatomical thing where if your arms are over your head, your lats are stretched in a way that like targets your long head. Oh God, I explained that so badly, but like it has something to do with the fact that your lats are connected to like the long head of your tricep, and having the movement being overhead while you're extending your arm targets your long head a bit more. So if you just check the human anatomy, like normally I think I mentioned this before, again, I normally fact check, but I'm really under a time pump to get this video out. And again, I'll do an in-depth video eventually on my whole workout routine and why I do each exercise and all that, and the little science behind it. But if you just check for yourself, you'll see that your lats are connected to the long head of your tricep if you lift them over the top of your head, which is why your triceps can get sore when you do things like lat pull downs. But you know, I've spent way too much time talking about this measly isolation movement. So yeah, the next one, rope hammer curls. Yeah, not really much to say. Targets your brachialis a little bit more, so you get a little bit of a like your bicep looks a bit thicker from side on. Yeah, not much really else to say on this one. So the next couple of movements, I'll do a unilateral standing dumbbell shoulder press. So I'll do one arm at a time. Now, standing upright and doing it one arm at a time, it's a good movement overall, but one of the main benefits of doing it standing with one arm at a time as opposed to like two arms at a time or seated is because you're standing up and you're doing one at a time. It has something to do with your skeletal structure. So the way your scapula interacts with your shoulder, like it's more of a smooth movement if you just do it standing with one arm at a time. Now, I got this information from Eric Trexler and Greg Knuckles, but I got this years ago and I just had to try to have a quick look through my notes and I can't actually find it anywhere. So I'm sure if you were to Google something like benefits to doing single arm standing shoulder press, you could probably find the reason. But it's just a more fluid motion for your body, like it's a more natural movement, if that makes sense. But even if you toss that aside, this is just a nice little movement in general. And again, it's another one that sort of targets your serratus, so I like to target this muscle whenever I can. So this is one exercise where it actually can help build my serratus muscle, because if you saw earlier, you'll notice that your serratus gets worked when you sort of protract your shoulder to like a 45-degree angle. Now, I'm not doing that in a shoulder press, but I am still protracting my shoulder. It's not optimally working my serratus, because if I was, the dumbbell would be moving at more of a 45-degree angle as opposed to a 90-degree angle, but I'm still training the serratus nonetheless with this movement. So anyway, obviously I'll do it with both hands, and then I'll do this sort of skull crusher hybrid. I actually got this from a Steve Cook video back in, well, I found it in 2017, so I don't know whether that's when he uploaded it or not. But you're doing like skull crushers, but you're more so just doing the eccentric part. So, I mean, it's hard to see, thanks TikTok, but I'm sort of just rolling my arms back up and pressing the dumbbells up instead of like extending my arm again, as you'd normally do with a skull crusher. This way you can do more reps, and it's a nice little burn on your triceps, and it's more like, obviously it's more of an eccentric movement, and that's also an important part of the hypertrophy process. There are studies that are clear on this. So yeah, it sounds like gibberish, but can you tell I'm just a little bit fatigued right now? Another thing I found was skull crushers were a little bit rough on my elbow joints, mainly the concentric part of the movement, which is where you sort of press the dumbbells back up. So this alleviates that pain, as well as giving me the benefits of actually doing skull crushers. So that's that. And the last movements I'll do is I'll do a drop set with dumbbell bicep curls. So I'll do like a top set of, I don't know, whatever I feel like. And then I'll do a drop set of a weight that's about 5, maybe 7.5 kilos lighter than what I had. And I'll do something similar for dumbbell lateral raises, except the drop will be only like 2.5 kilos, because I can bicep curl, well, actually I can dumbbell lateral raise more than I can bicep curl, but I prefer to go higher reps with the dumbbell lateral raises, because the rope upright rows, that's for the lower reps, even though I still go pretty high in reps with it anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much my arm workout. Now, sometimes I'll do abs after I do an arm workout. So with abs, I kind of just tack them on whenever I feel like it, to be honest. But I'll make sure I do at least 2 sort of, not sessions of abs, but like I'll at least try to do them twice a week. Usually I'll do one of them at the end of my upper sesh, which is odd because that's probably my most fatiguing sesh other than my first leg day. But because it's like the first workout of the week, even though it's still only 2 days after my last session. So I'll gym Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday on a normal week. So obviously if I'm gymming Tuesday, that's only a day after Sunday, but it's weird because it feels like I haven't worked out in ages, even though it's only been 2 days. So I usually have a bit more energy. So I'll always do abs at the end of the upper session, and maybe another session at some point in the week, and maybe I'll do a bit more if I can be bothered. But this session in particular, I couldn't be bothered. Also, because I had to film some of the workouts, it sort of ate into, well, my workout time. So those of you who have filmed your workouts will know that you're just not quite as in the groove when you're filming your workouts as you are when you're just sort of doing it on your own, like without filming. So, and it also obviously eats up your time with setting up the tripod and all that stuff. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to go home because I had other stuff to do. And a lot of what you may have just seen is just me just doing some random flexes in different poses, maybe even different lightings in the gym and whatnot. So yeah, mandatory flex after the gym. So yeah, back to this slide now. So yeah, got home around 7:30, just went for a quick walk with the fresh air and cooled down, and yeah, soaked up whatever sun was left of the day. So 8 o'clock, we've got dinner time because I had to have a shower. So that took up obviously some time. So had a shower, and now I'm cooking dinner at 8 o'clock on a Friday. So I'm cooking 6 whole eggs here. So that's 30 grams of protein and 30 grams of fat, as well as a bucket load of vitamins and minerals. So that little snippet of that Excel doc you're seeing, how it's got like egg whites, the column is blank, but egg yolks, the column is loaded. Egg whites are just protein. There's no real vitamins or minerals in them. So those figures are in milligrams or micrograms. I don't know, if I was to scroll across to the side, you could see some vitamins are measured in like milligrams and some in micrograms. So they're measured in whatever is appropriate for that particular vitamin or mineral. And I believe that these numbers are only for 2 egg yolks as opposed to the 6 I have. So this is just a snippet of a diet I whipped up in 2020 during lockdown when I had time to, research all this nutrition stuff because I got fired, let go, terminated, made redundant, whatever you want to call it, from an accounting job I had at the time. So I had a lot of spare time on my hands. So I was like, all right, let's delve into this nutrition thing. So those are just, numbers that basically what I'm trying to say is egg yolks are really good for you. And that's why I have them. So that the image where I'm cooking eggs and I've got my phone in front of me. So that's just me sort of watching videos, or at least listening to videos while I'm cooking, waiting for dinner to cook. Now, the videos you'll see on the playlist, the first video on the playlist, which isn't the one on the actual phone screen at the moment, but it's a video from Knees Over Toes guy, and it was some other gym guy who I recently found sort of doing a review on him. And I wasn't skeptical of Knees Over Toes guy because I've known that for years. So when I started in the whole gym space, there was a myth going around where don't have your knees over your toes because it's bad for your knees. Now, it does put a bit more pressure on the knees, but it's not necessarily bad, because if that was the case, then nobody would ever walk down the staircase, because your knees always go over your toes when you walk down the stairs. So if that was true, then why aren't people telling you to avoid walking downstairs? Obviously, it's different if you got like load on your back when you're squatting and all that. But the advice got skewed and like contorted to a point where it was like, never have your knees over your toes. So I think this guy's main shtick is to sort of debunk that whole thing. But he had a lot of good info on like posture and quad health and just rehabilitation in general. So not that it's applicable to me, but I had a look anyway, and now if I ever need that info, I know where to look for it. So, and I did learn a little bit from it. And the only reason I said a little bit, not a lot, was because I didn't really take notes or anything. I just kind of just went through the motions of the video. I was like, oh yeah, okay. Oh, right, cool. So, I'm waiting for dinner to cook and I'm still learning. So that's, part of the grind. The second video, which is the one that's actually on the phone, is a video from Benjamin Cohen. And he was talking about the technical analysis of crypto. I can't remember the video title, but it was useful at the current time. So I think he was predicting Bitcoin was going to go down a bit further, which, I mean, if you looked at the state of the economy, that was kind of obvious. But he was looking at it from a technical analysis perspective. So again, this isn't info I really need now, but I'm sort of stockpiling it and like putting it at the back of my head. So when the time comes for me to actually delve into that stuff, I sort of have a good foundational base of knowledge to like start, if that makes sense. Like I kind of already have a head start on the knowledge is what I'm trying to say. And that third video, it's not really an educational one, but it's from Sunny V2. I've mentioned him in a couple of my other videos, but he's a really good channel. He does like documentary style videos on like the downfall of YouTubers and like the fame of people and whatnot, and they're very entertaining. And they're also a good reminder to people who don't want to sort of work a job and they just want to do this whole influencer thing. Like it can come down in flames very easily. So watching his videos are a good reminder of that. But this one in particular, he was talking about, what was he talking about? Oh yeah, this TikToker that faked Tourette's or something. I never actually heard of it because I have a TikTok for, my side hustles, but I don't actually have a personal one. Whereas I have like a personal YouTube channel, which I don't have any videos on, but I just watch other people from there because I've got YouTube Premium on my personal one. So I'll actually watch most of my videos on my personal one rather than this gamification of life channel. So I don't actually get any of the ads. So that's pretty sweet. But yeah, there was not a lot of point to bringing that up. There's just, another video in the queue for entertainment purposes. Now, the fourth one was a video, it was like an interview with Lynn Alden. Now, she's a genius, so she's an economist, and she has fantastic information for the overall financial markets, because what happens in the economy drips down into the financial markets, and what happens there drips down into crypto. And then obviously what happens in the economy also just drips down to your everyday life in general. So yeah, fantastic source of information. Now, I haven't watched too much of her stuff lately because the videos are obviously quite long and they're quite informative. So I hate watching stuff that's super informative and I don't have like time to like take notes on it. So I've got those videos sort of backlogged, but I'll sort of listen to some here and there. But once my exam's over, I'll be binge watching her stuff. So it's Friday about 9:43 now. I've had dinner. I've gotten my food ready for tomorrow. I've, gone through some of those videos and whatnot. So the screenshot, the little snippet you're seeing, daily diary, it's more so to just see exactly what I did on that day. So I've got a calendar on one of my phones. I've got two. On one of my phones, I have like this calendar and it'll have like work 8:30 to 4:30, gym 6 till 8 or something like that. Whereas in this little diary, I sort of go in a little bit more depth. So I reckon at the end of the year, I'm going to do a massive video that'll just sort of briefly run through what I did on each day of the whole year. I reckon that'll be pretty sweet. So I'm sort of just stockpiling content for that. But I'm kind of stockpiling content for that just by doing my everyday thing anyway. So that's just what I was doing at this point. I think I may have done a bit more study after I did this, or I may have just started winding down for bed. I really can't remember. So that other image you see, it's an image I found on this particular Friday. So it's about don't believe government data. CPI takes a basket of goods, so things like lumber and hotel prices aren't included, but rent and commodity prices are concerning. CPI is also a lagging indicator, so it takes a while to show what actually happened. So, I mean, this is something I kind of already knew as well, like CPI data is flawed and all that. And the government's tried to downplay any crises. But as you can see, like the coffee prices have gone up roughly 92%, natural gas 81%, and crude oil and all that has gone up a lot more than 7.5%. So when you see like 7.5%, like that's pretty high, but it's not like everything in your everyday life has gone up by only 7.5%. Like it doesn't, like there are a lot of other things that have gone up way more than that. So that's just something to keep in mind when you see stuff like that. You're like, oh, well, inflation's only this much, so it shouldn't impact me that much. Well, like the data is flawed. Is that saying it's like there's 3 types of lies? There's lies, damn lies, and statistics or something like that. So that's just, something to keep in mind. So yeah, that was my Friday night, whereas a lot of people go clubbing and stuff. I was eating healthy, I was doing some investment stuff, I was getting adequate rest, I went to the gym, so hustle, grind, all that good stuff.